what does the Taliban takeover mean for China and Pakistan? As two of Afghanistan's most important neighbours, Beijing and Islamabad share similar interests when it comes to the country's future.
We want a peaceful, stable Afghanistan. It is in our enlightened self-interest because we want regional connectivity. How do we get regional connectivity without peace in Afghanistan?
There are two key points. First is to be inclusive, and second is to resolutely fight terrorism. We hope the Taliban can learn from the past, actively interact with all ethnic groups and factions under the interim government, keep its promises to the outside world, and become more recognized globally.
British author Andrew Small popularized the phrase the China-Pakistan axis. It's a semi-alliance that works to shape Asia's geopolitical future, confronting everything from India's rise to nuclear terrorism and now a post-American Afghanistan. But where do their interests align when it comes to the Taliban? Let's start with Pakistan. It shares a 2,570-kilometer border with Afghanistan and has historical trade and ethnic ties dating back centuries. According to the former US General Stanley McChrystal, who was the American commander in Afghanistan back in 2009, Islamabad's goal was to make sure the government in Kabul never became too pro-India. Because if India got a foothold in Afghanistan, Pakistan would be surrounded on both sides. Pakistan has long been accused by many in the US and elsewhere of supporting the Taliban for decades, something it denies. But fast forward to today, and here's how Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan reacted to the Taliban takeover.
ज़हनी गुलामी की ज़ंजीरें तोड़ना ज़्यादा मुश्किल होता है जो अभी अफगानिस्तान में गुलामी की ज़ंजीरें तो तोड़ दी उन्होंने.
But Islamabad isn't seeing this as a victory. Pakistan has arguably suffered the worst from extremist groups operating out of Afghanistan, and it's in their best interest that the Taliban eradicates terror groups like Al-Qaeda and Daesh-K. But one of the biggest concerns is a pending refugee crisis. More than 3 million Afghan refugees currently live in Pakistan, and the government expects 700,000 more. What would that cost? $2.2 billion. But Pakistan says it cannot afford it, and they're hoping that a Taliban government could help prevent that. In a show of solidarity, earlier this month, Pakistan's Inter-Services Intelligence Chief Faiz Hamid met with one of the Taliban's top leaders, Mullah Baradar, in Kabul. Western governments believe that Pakistan's role will be critical in having a say with the Taliban. Now to China and what its goals could be in Afghanistan. The two countries share a tiny border near the mountainous Hindu Kush range. For the Taliban, Beijing will be a key source of technology and money, everything it needs to rebuild their war-torn country. And what do Chinese leaders want in return? China's foreign policy is generally pragmatic, as they practice a policy of non-interference in the internal affairs of other countries. And their interests in Afghanistan are wide. Their Belt and Road Initiative, a $1 trillion infrastructure project that looks to recreate the ancient Silk Road, will run through Central Asia. Until now, Afghanistan was not a part of it because of the war, but China's betting that could change. Aside from its economic aims, China's interests are also about combating extremism. The Taliban have assured China that they would not allow their fighters to use Afghan territory as a base for attacks inside China. But it will be some time before Beijing can realize any of these goals, as Afghanistan is still plagued by violence and instability. And for China, there's only one country to blame for that. Its foreign ministry said recently, Wherever the United States sets foot, be it Iraq, Syria, or Afghanistan, we see turbulence, division, broken families, deaths, and other scars. And the editor-in-chief of the state-run Global Times said Chinese online users joked that the Taliban takeover was smoother than this year's US presidential transition. But Beijing knows it has to tread carefully to the power vacuum left by the chaotic US withdrawal. In a show of support, China has offered $31 million worth of emergency aid, including COVID-19 vaccines, to Afghanistan. Both sides seem keen to make this partnership work.
We've had very positive and good relations with China in the past. We want to make these relations even stronger and want to improve the mutual trust level. On the governmental level, we look forward to building a very strong relationship with China because China is a rapidly developing country which can support Afghanistan in the economic sector.
In the aftermath of the US exit and Taliban takeover, Afghanistan's immediate future seems to be tied with its immediate neighbours, because countries like Pakistan and China will most likely be the first ones to suffer if Afghanistan implodes. So it's only fitting they want to be the first ones to offer help, but of course, for their own strategic reasons.